What is going on YouTube? I am Germ here. Today we're going to be talking about the latest news out of the LCS, and that is that former jungler of TSM from this past split, the spring split of 2020, Dardoch is now on the move. As you can see, just 2 hours ago, TSM did post, "Thank you, Dardoch, for the hard work and passion you brought to the team. During your time with us, we wish you the best of luck for the future." And they made that announcement, and then about an hour later, or just a couple minutes later, I'm not exactly sure what the exact time these tweets were, Dignitas actually tweeted out that they're powering up for the summer split. Welcome Dardoch to Dignitas, with this little picture of Dardoch, obviously in his Dignitas jersey, and some of their sponsors and everything. And I think this is really big news out of the LCS. I think Dardoch was one of the bigger players that's rumored to be moving around and stuff. I think this is pretty crazy for both teams, as we're just going to throw some Dardoch highlights on the screen from some past seasons while we talk about this for a little bit. Some pretty crazy things going on, because on the TSM side of things, they've had a couple junglers over the past couple of years now. They have not been able to find consistency in the position. They've had Grig, Acadian, Spica. They've had Dardoch now. They've had Mike Young. They've just been all over the place with different junglers, making a lot of roster changes, not really giving any jungler a time to mesh with the team. But they've also been not really any jungler performing up to the expectations that TSM would have as well, because they are a team that, in the end, even though they haven't been this for a while, they want to be a world class team. They want to be a world class organization, and they just need to get back to that point. Dardoch was supposed to be a potential highlight and a potential savior for them in this position, but that didn't work out, and they're going to be on the move again. It's going to be interesting to see if they do make a huge splash with another jungler. I know some people say closer, some people say just some random other jungler. People have rumored about maybe even Smithy, stuff like that. But obviously, the most likely case is that they just end up going with Spica in the end, even though he is a very unproven rookie. I've heard he's very talented. I've heard that he is a solo queue god and has a lot of potential in the future. But his first stint with TSM, obviously in terrible conditions, did not look amazing. But yeah, and then as far as Dardoch from this past split, I do think he's a very good player, but there were rumors of him still being toxic, still being really, really bad for a team environment, and that's never a good thing. And then also, he did have some very, very terrible games. His engages, his Jarvan games in the playoffs for TSM, his Sejuani game that ended up getting TSM eliminated from the playoffs eventually. He didn't look very good at times. He had very good early games. He was very aggressive. He had some of the most, if not the most, first bloods in the entire league. He was part of TSM's very, very strong early games, but his mid to late game decision making, his team fighting, a ton of decisions he made were just not very good. And that is something that did concern me. He had highlights, but he definitely had lowlights. He was in the top half of the junglers in the league, but he was also propped up by a TSM roster that was kind of loaded around him. Obviously, Broken Blade and Bjergsen are going to be two of the best solo laners in the league. Playing with them is going to be make it a little bit easier. So I don't know. I don't know exactly how I feel about Dardoch. I feel like he could definitely get better than what he did this split, but I feel like he also could have been propped up by TSM a little bit too, because he definitely had some poor decision making and some toxicity issues and stuff like that. So I don't know. It'll be an interesting pickup for Dignitas. Again, I'm sure it was very low risk because of the rumors, obviously, of the TSM leaks of Lena saying that nobody wants Dardoch. I'm sure Dignitas had to pay next to nothing to take a free flyer on Dardoch, and also I definitely think Dardoch is better than Grig. So even if they're picking up Dardoch just to throw him onto the academy team as a flyer, as like a last resort in case they get desperate or in case anything goes bad with Acadian or whatever, I think that's fine, because I do think he's definitely better than Grig. But Dignitas did not tweet out that Dardoch is going to be the starter. They didn't tweet out that he's going to academy. They haven't tweeted out anything yet, so maybe he'll be the starter. Maybe he'll be academy. Maybe they're going to have a tryout for that starting position. Maybe they're going to do a two jungler roster where they switch in and out. Who knows what's going to happen? So that'll be interesting to see on the Dignitas side. They were a team that just barely missed the playoffs last split. I think Dardoch could potentially be an upgrade over Acadian, could potentially be an upgrade over Dardoch, or I mean over Grig as well. But obviously there is going to be team atmosphere issues, concerns, stuff like that, and just issues with his play as well. There is definitely, he's not a guaranteed upgrade over Acadian, because Acadian on his time with Dignitas and with TSM has showed some highlights himself. Again, he has also shown some lowlights and some decision making issues and team fighting incapabilities at times, and he isn't the best jungler in North America by any means. But yeah, I think he and Dardoch are on similar levels, so I feel like you could, depending on the day, depending on just who's hot at the time, either one of those two junglers could be better. But I definitely think they are both better than Grig and both deserve a spot over him. So I think it was a low risk, potentially medium to high reward move by Dignitas. I get that. And then obviously TSM just needed to move on from Dardoch. So they aren't going to end up with getting much from him, but there's not much they can do about that. Obviously, in the circumstances where everyone knows they were getting rid of him, everyone knows he has toxicity issues and stuff like that. But it will be interesting to see. Dignitas, Huni has been rumored to potentially be leaving, so they maybe still need to figure out what's going on in the top lane. Who their jungler is probably going to have a huge influence on who that top laner does end up being, so I think that'll be interesting to see how that plays out as well. But that's pretty much it for this video today, guys. Just breaking down the biggest news in the LCS recently is that Dardoch is leaving TSM and he is headed to Team Dignitas, maybe to be their jungler, maybe headed to Academy. We don't really know for sure yet. Drop a like if you enjoyed this video. Leave a comment down below. What do you think is going to happen with Dardoch? Do you think he's going to be the starter? Do you think he's going to go into Academy? And who do you think is going to be Dignitas' top laner for the summer split of 2020? Subscribe to stay up to date on all my latest content. Hopefully I catch you guys in the next one. But until then, peace.